Hi there, my name's Joe. Welcome back to my series of videos on the 2024 Fantasy Tour de France League. Just putting out a quick video to go through my current plans for my initial roster to start the tour on Saturday. My plans may change in the next 24 hours, but this is the team that I intend to register ahead of the tour. So to quickly go through it, I have Pogacar and Philipsen, who I view as no-brainer picks that everyone should be picking up. I think they're just extremely safe picks, um, and I expect them to be reliably earning points all the way through the end of the tour. I think Philipsen's going to win green, Pogacar is going to win yellow, or at least be competitive. So everyone should have those two riders. The other thing I want to call out is I don't quite feel confident picking up any GC riders at this point in time besides Pogacar. So none of my other riders are classified as leaders. I've got two sprinters and five all-rounders. I feel that, first of all, there are a lot of opportunities for reduced bunch sprints as well as flat sprints in the first week, week and a half. So I wanted to index high on guys with a kick, guys who are going to be in the sprints. But also, I just feel that the GC space is just too crowded. There's too many riders that could potentially be in the lead, and with 15 riders and all their super domestiques all going for a couple slots at the top of the GC battle, I don't think that it's a safe bet to just pick one of them on day one. Now, this is probably a suboptimal strategy in terms of maximizing my raw score for the global league, but I'm electing to go with a conservative strategy here. I do expect that I will be picking up whoever identifies themselves as the second best or third best GC rider in the first couple stages. I'll be picking them up pretty quickly. I'll be dropping one of these riders. In the meantime, I have indexed high on sprinters, as I mentioned. I think that Pedersen is probably not the second best pure sprinter in the race. That might be Groenewegen, it might be De Lee, I'm not sure. But I do think that he's going to be the most reliable points earner and potentially someone that I could hold on for a long period of time, not just a couple of flat sprint stages in week one. So Pedersen's a good pick for me. I also have Wout van Aert because I expect him to be messing around in the sprints, but also he's just historically one of the most reliable fantasy point scorers of all time. He's always up there. Even last year when he didn't have a great tour, he was third highest point scorer at the point that he left the tour. I also picked up Pidcock. I think that stage one is likely to result in a reduced bunch sprint, and Pidcock has already identified that he's targeting this stage. I expect that Wout van Aert will be there. I hope that potentially maybe Pedersen will be there. We'll see. I'm really not sure. The other option I had here was to swap out Pidcock or Pedersen, one of these 18 cost riders, for two of the guys that I expect to be targeting stage one. So in that scenario, I would have, let's say, Ben Healy and Van Gils instead of Pedersen and Alexis Renard. So I'm picking up two really valuable riders instead of one in the form of Pidcock plus a throwaway Renard, but they are a little bit more risky. I think Pidcock is a little bit of a safer pick. The other thing I want to call out here, if I go back to my initial team, is I've got three minimum cost riders. So I've got five expensive riders and three minimum cost riders that cost just 5 stars. I left myself in this scenario an excess of 2 stars that I have not yet spent. The advantage here is that I can then later trade out Wout van Aert for someone who costs 21 stars, like Primoz Roglic, or I can trade out either one of Pidcock or Pedersen for Evenepoel or Yates, or someone that costs 20 stars or less. I'm not limited by the number of stars of my current pick when I swap them out for someone else. So if I didn't have this excess and I wanted to trade up Pidcock for Evenepoel, well, I'd have to sell two riders to free up some extra stars to pick up Evenepoel. The downside here is that I'm picking up three really shoddy, crappy riders. What I'm really, really heavily debating is replacing Alexis Renard with Jonas Abrahamsen, who I think is one of the best value picks in the entire tour. He's only 7 stars, but I think he's going to be doing really well. I think he's going to be eating up a lot of those breakaway points that are new for 2024. I'm just not sure if I have the guts to keep him on my team, leaving myself with 0 excess stars in my budget. So that's a decision that folks who are building similar teams might want to weigh. This is maybe higher risk, higher reward strategy, whereas this is a lower risk, lower reward strategy. Last thing to call out here is just my thoughts about my upcoming trades. I expect that I'll be making 1 to 2 trades immediately, sometime early in the first week, maybe ahead of stage 4 or maybe right after stage 4 when we really can see where the GC guys' legs are and we can see who's going for what. We can see who's lost some time. I then expect that I'll make another trade or two around the end of the first week, maybe right after the TT or maybe right before the TT. I also expect that I'll be making a couple trades when we finish stage 13 and the sprint phase of the race sort of ends. Certainly Pedersen and Van Aert, well, at least Pedersen will be off my team at that point, I would guess. When we go into the mountains, I'd want to pick up someone like Felix Gall or Maxim Van Gil, some of these other climbers. I also want to make sure that I have 2, preferably 3 trades reserved for the penultimate or final stage when I'm trying to build my ideal final roster. And then finally, that leaves me 2 trades remaining as emergency, which I'll keep in reserve in case either one of my riders withdraws from the race or if there's just someone that pops up who's too good to ignore and I have to put him on my team. So that's how I roughly plan to spend those 10 trades. 1 or 2 immediately, 1 or 2 at the end of week 1, 1 or 2 after stage 13, 1 or 2, preferably 3, for the penultimate and or final stage to build my final roster. And then that leaves 1 to 2 trades just in reserve to use opportunistically. All right, if you have any thoughts, if you have any suggestions, if you want to show me your planned roster, feel free to join the discussion over on my Discord server. The link is in the description. Good luck.